and welcome once again to Wandering Monster, America's Test Table, where we don't just play test games, we stress test them. I am Charles R. Bernard,
I'm Bridget Brave.
Ian Servas.
I'm Mr. Pashke.
and if you're seeing my beautiful face, you know that that means that John has been imprisoned for gross indecency. No, that's actually not true.
He's in
John,
timeout.
yes, we put John in
We,
timeout.
we want him to think about what he did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're giving him the time to mull it over. The other thing it means is that there is exactly 20% less beard than usual tonight. So to make up for that, we'll be dragging beards into this thing all night long. And by that, I mean we will be dealing explicitly and only with dwarves in the fantasy sense. And I wanted to bring up a controversial stance I have and also open the floor for a question. The controversial stance I have is this: in Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, those are quite clearly gnomes, in my opinion. They work underground, but they live in a house. They, have those funky hats. They're kind of like happy-go-lucky. Even this is supposedly grumpy one. They like to sing. Well, dwarves like to sing too. And that brings me to my question. What was y'all's first fantasy or gaming exposure to dwarves? Because for me, it was reading The Hobbit when I was a kid. And I was like, damn, these dwarves are singing just like left and right. They've got songs about everything. They're singing about washing the dishes and, yeah. The Ralph Bakshi cartoon might have had something to do with
Yep.
yeah. But it actually, if you read the text, there's like a hell of, I mean, Tom Bombadil does a lot of singing too, but we don't need to invoke his dread name. So y'all, what was your first exposure in gaming to dwarves?
I wish I could remember the name of the game. So full disclosure, it was an Apple IIc. So any game that we had was severely off-brand because they didn't make games for the Apple IIc. But I just remember it was like a turn-based dungeon crawler, and you had a party with you, and it was very similar to Gauntlet, which I played later on. But it definitely had an off-brand name, and it was like the third in a series. I never played the first two.
I'm in the Rankin Bass camp when it comes to Hobbit adaptations. But no, my father read The Hobbit to me when I was young, and then definitely the Rankin Bass, and then the Ralph Bakshi came after that. But I think that probably the Loader would be the first real exposure to that beyond, of course, the gnomes of which you speak.
I honestly don't know. I haven't considered when was the first time I
Right.
encountered a dwarf. Like I saw the Lord of the Rings when they were in theaters, so like 20 years ago or whatever. I'm old now. Yay. But like I know that like Baldur's Gate I played as a dwarf on like the PlayStation 2, which that's around the time period, so that's splitting hairs. That doesn't matter. I don't remember my first dwarf.
They've always been there. They crept out of the closet at night to come and frolic with you. That's because Mr. Pashke, even as a small child, had just like a magnificent.
Yeah, I was
Born
born
with
with,
it,
a
yeah.
goatee. It
Yeah.
grew into a full beard.
Yeah, by age 1.5. No, tonight we will be playing a fun little game called Axes and Anvils. Not that other letter and letter game. And Axes and Anvils is presented to us by Shields Up Publishing. The game creator's name escapes me at the moment, but
Andrew Shield.
thank you, Andrew Shield, which shields up. That makes sense. And tonight will be a bit of a dungeon crawl, a low res dungeon crawl, if you will. And with that, Mr. Sarvas, our forever GM, would you like to take us to the game screen, please?
Absolutely.
Or
So
rather,
as an
Mr. Pashke will take us there. Ian
It's
will take
cool.
over.
it's still
Timing.
GM magic.
Yes.
So this game, it focuses on just dwarves. So the quick start rules, which we're going to be playing tonight, to kind of showcase what you can get a taste of for the full game, is free on Drive-Thru RPG, and the overall game allows you to really live out all of your fantasies about working underground, living underground, being underground, having long beards, making all kinds of fun weapons and whatnot. So
So this is just my life.
right.
My bedroom's in the basement at my house because just the way that the floor plan is stupid. I fight with swords. This is just me. Hi, everybody.
See,
This
you're
is why
living
I
the
couldn't
dreams.
remember my first dwarf.
Because it was you. Yeah.
You were born as one. Yeah, born into the clan. Sure.
So when you're not playing on the podcast, are you LARPing or are you LARPing when you're on the podcast?
I think I'm LARPing on the podcast because I'm doing HEMA in real life, and it's different.
Art
Mhm.
imitates life. So this game allows you to has a very quick character development system, and you are all these rolls. I'd say all these dwarves we have tonight are generated from random rolls. So it is a game that is very easily taught to anyone who either for veterans or for experts in TTRPGs. Uses instead of a D20, D12 is the core die. So we are going to go ahead and just kind of jump into the thick of things as we are having our well, how about we start with our three dwarves and introduce themselves and maybe a fun fact or fun object you have in your inventory.
Absolutely. As is required by Utah state and federal law, I will go first. I will be, God damn, dude, you come up with some names. Kramerling Cask Brewer. Just call me Brewski. I am young, brass.
Nice.
Okay. Test Charles Paschke.
Charles
Howdy.
Bernard.
All right.
Can people
How
hear
about
us now?
OBS Studio seems to be working. I haven't heard from Bridget. Say something.
Oh, this is me.
I think they can
Okay.
hear us now.
Can you hear us?
Okay.
Is
Yes.
this like the
So-
old Horizon? Can you hear us now?
It's a seance.
Okay.
yeah.
So,
Yes.
Can you hear
So-
us?
so real quick, I'll just make a note and we'll talk about it later. It doesn't matter right now. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
thank you so much, our loving audience. Bridget, take us back to where you were first
Sure.
saying things with your face and the mouth and the
With
words.
my face and the mouth? Okay. I'll
Yes,
try to remember
those
to
things.
do both of those things. So I'm Fimbig Coppergrog, the easiest to pronounce name, which has nothing to do with why I chose it. I'm a young 150 years old. I'm integral to this team. I am both the healer and the mechanician, which is like a mechanic and a magician. I am great with my hands, just terrific. I can get into a machine and take it apart and figure out how it works, and then we don't worry about putting it back together. So I'm also the team surgeon. I should mention that. So if you get cuts or a broken bone, I'll stitch that right back up for you. Sure, it'll go great.
We'll be needing your help tonight, I'm sure.
And I want to talk about my big ass machete since we already got to hear about his big ass weapon. I've got a big ass machete called Voice of the Dark, and it has a scratch on it for every clean
Ooh.
kill I've made.
How many
Nice.
scratches are on there?
6.
Wow, you're a terrible surgeon.
I really
Yeah, those are clean kills, though.
clean kill.
The
I'm a
unclean
great
kills.
surgeon.
Yeah.
I suppose it's my go, isn't it? Sorry.
That'd be.
Yeah, I was just moving some things around on my computer. Sorry. Behind the scenes. Don't need to know that. Tonight I will be playing Rothok Blackbirds. You see, here's the thing about Rothok is in his inventory, he has not just cigar butts, but snuff, which to me indicates that the Columbian exchange in this world has happened because tobacco is native to North and South America, which
Mhm.
means that there possibly Mayan or Incan dwarves.
Now, I will say something I learned from a book just recently is that the word tobacco may or may not have originated with the Taino people, which is like the native people of Puerto Rico and some of the islandy Caribbean. So,
Blessed tobacco, the gift that keeps
Mhm.
on giving.
So yeah, my character has just tobacco on him and a lot of like 8 stumps of very well chewed cigars, pouch of stale chewing tobacco, tin of snuff, jeweler's loop. I can only assume that that is for getting the ring gauge of a cigar. I mean, what else would that be for when you're a dwarf? Couldn't
Snuff.
be like,
Sorting
yeah,
out the gravel dust from the snuff.
yeah. Other than that, flint and steel, other normal things.
Normal dwarfy things.
Yeah.
You don't have a problem. Everyone else has a problem. You don't have a problem.
My problem only happens when I run out of tobacco.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's when it's a problem.
That's
Right
when it's a
now,
problem for
And that's
Not
when
a big
alcohol
deal.
is a solution. So there we go.
Oh no, like nothing makes you want to smoke more than when you're drunk, actually. But yeah,
Mm.
Then it makes sense.
in my case, at any rate.
Just keep
Yep.
mixing it.
See, but that's maybe why you're all adventuring together. You know, these are the things that bond dwarves together beyond oath.
True.
It's these creature comforts and things. One of the ways that you can actually recover some of your vital essence in this game is through carousing and through having, tavern style drinking and regaling old tales. So definitely has that dwarf mindset built in.
I was surprised to find in my inventory that I have basically brought an entire brewery with me. I have yeast, I have hops. It's basically just add water brewery is what I have in my kit. So yeah, if we wind up in a tight spot, I got you covered.
Yeah, I'm completely prepared for anything. I've apparently got weed, a pipe, jawbreakers, and a gag and leather bit. So any situation, I'm
Everything
ready.
you
Yeah,
need.
yeah.
I think that
Nice.
we got our characters mixed up, possibly. But yes, yeah, I think this will be a fun group. By the way, I have a friend who in real life tried to take up snuff, which you can still like buy, and it caused such violent sneezing that
Yeah, it does.
yeah, every time he tried to use it, I just laughed my fucking ass off. It was great.
But the nicotine hit that you get from that, oh man, like I don't recommend it because I had quit cigarettes once for like 2 or 3 months, and then I tried snuff again, and I was right back on cigarettes. So yeah,
That's why it was used for curing migraines back in the day, because you got that rush.
yeah.
So I guess it
That
worked.
that and the fact that if you've been smoking and you quit, then starting back up will indeed cure your migraine.
But I quit cigarettes, and cigars don't do anything.
Yeah.
Cigars do not help migraines for me. I don't know.
So tonight, you guys ready for me to actually break the law? Tonight's show has been brought to you by tobacco.
Big friendly tobacco.
Look, it's just like Fred Rolling Stone said. Nothing tastes good like a Winston should.
That's right. Just like Fred and Barney talking about
Are
the
we
smooth.
gunning for sponsorship by like Philip Morris?
Look, Phil,
Given
Big
that,
Papa
none of
Phil,
us-
Well,
Nerf shot me down. Philip
So-
Morris.
in the core rule book, there are rules for making your own clan and all of this. And it might be kind of fun if we have our own little small nomadic clan as just the three of you, and you have like some type of tobacco-oriented name or
We're the
heraldry or
Winston
something.
Salem clan.
Uh,
Fools.
Yeah, the
Oh, no.
the
Not
cool-
Oh,
I want to argue against it, but I have no good argument. The cools.
the cools.
the
Oh my
cools
gosh.
with a K.
All
Yeah,
right,
love
then
it.
what is the symbol that would be on your shields?
Oh, our shields are just like this cool minty green blue color with like hatched lines towards
no,
the
no.
top.
It's the Newport logo. It's
Yeah.
the upside down Nike swoosh that is
Yeah.
Newport.
Love it.
Then all of our dwarves died of fiberglass inhalation. Great. So we're off to a great start. So the three of you are nomadic dwarves. You have either been separated from your clan, exiled from your clan, or your clan were destroyed by incursions of goblins or orcs. And a dwarf without a home, without a clan, without a dwelling is no dwarf at all. You link so much of your honor and your sense of self in being part of a clan. And so all of you are driven to joining a clan. You've heard through traders on the mainland thoroughfares that recently there was a effort to retake an old dwarven clan foothold that was at one point besieged by some type of goblinoids and was completely routed and sacked. And so there is this call for dwarves to help rebuild and make a new home deep within the mountains. And so
Is there a
is this that's kind
Balrog
of,
in there?
I don't know, it's maybe, no, no.
Sounds like a yes.
Mhm.
Don't you trust me? So you are headed towards Tumbletop, where this clan is forging itself anew. The tentative name that you've heard being kind of whispered on the routes themselves is the Firebreak Clan. Perhaps you could help them rebrand themselves as the Cools and
Mhm.
usher in a new smooth era of refreshing leadership.
Smooth era of satisfaction.
This is flavor country after all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
As a
What have I done?
quick aside, how did you get separated from your original clan, and why is it that you are binding together?
Well, I
This
stepped
new show?
outside for like just 5 minutes, and when I went back inside, they were gone.
They all left to get milk.
So, it was just a tonsillectomy. Okay. I can do a tonsillectomy. But, there were some allegations afterwards, and it was suggested that I take my talents somewhere that would be more appreciated. So I moved on down the road.
The honest answer in my case is that after about 11 p.m. of that alleged evening, I don't remember anything. But I'm told that while in my cups, I may or may not have urinated on or toward my clan leader. I don't remember that, but I don't
Honest
remember much
mistake.
from that night. Yeah, I mean,
We've all
it,
been there.
Yeah, who
I
hasn't?
probably,
Yeah.
I probably just thought he was a latrine. I mean, that happens.
Honest mistake.
All right. So you have found each other and banded together in this common cause of helping to rebuild and make a new legacy free of surgical incidents or public intoxication urination allegations. A place
I
that you
can't make
can
any promises.
you will have ample opportunity to rebuild your honor. We'll just put it like that. So you have been adventuring through this progressive mountain terrain that is rugged. It is getting progressively colder and colder the higher elevation that you get. In fact, I'd like someone to make the first roll of the evening. Who would like to sling a d12?
I like to sling d12s.
Do that.
9.
9. So the most of your trip up through the mountains themselves is pretty clear weather, but it's just bitingly cold. No matter how long your beard is, it's just not enough to really protect the cold draft from getting in your armor and just chilling you from the inside out. So it's with great relief that you see up ahead that there is this large yawning cavern entrance that takes you deep within the mountain to get out of the cold and into the comfort gloom of the underworld. As you are marching into this, do you have a certain type of marching order, or how do you approach this thing? Have you learned
Ooh.
on the road how
I
you work
know.
together?
Yeah. Well, we start off as we're marching with
Hi-ho!
I
Oh, we were
thought
all
those
gonna-
were gnomes. We are dwarves.
I just had to get one high. Ho.
Okay. You're allowed one.
So you are singing to announce your presence to the mountain, that you are on your way home. You've already been on the road for 3 long days, and you know that it's going to be a lot longer as you meander through these mountainous paths. It's through these deep caverns that you actually get to the other side.
As we're traveling through those canyons, it doesn't say in my equipment how long it takes for me to brew. I don't know, like a keg of something. Can we pretend that I do that on one of our stops?
I would just imagine that you have some kind of dwarfish ale that gets like its flavor and body from the constant agitation of us walking with you having a barrel on your back.
Oh, I like
Like I'm
that.
seeing like the one-man band thing where you've got like the barrel on your shoulders and it's bubbling. And yeah.
Yeah, copper coil in front of me and playing it
Mhm.
like an accordion. Yeah,
Exactly.
I can
There's
get
like
down with that.
a whistling airlock that's going with
Yeah.
every step, and you hear the steps slosh.
I really want to see this now that we're imagining it. Like my mind picture's pretty great, but I want to see it like animated well. Yeah.
Now, you certainly could brew on the go. It depends on what yeast you're using. If you use distiller's yeast, you could make yourself a table beer pretty quickly, but you are in cold climes, so you're kind of in a lagering state more than anything. But as you transition deeper into the gloom of this cavern, you're starting to notice that the rough, natural appearance of this starts to give way to what looks to be like mining. You can see how the walls are excavated, that the floor itself has been smoothed and very, very like rutted and worn in spots as if this was made a long time ago. Now, in this, each of you have two different types of skill sets. You have your crafting skill and you have your service skills. And so all of you are able to use things that kind of fit in that parameter. If they're not something to be rushed or hurried or have to be a certain level of perfection, you can automatically succeed on some of those. So at any point that you have some type of expertise that you want to employ, feel free to interject and let me know. Another
I
half.
mean,
Go ahead.
that's what I'm doing with my brewer skill, and it's my primary skill. But I don't
Do,
know if I have an automatic success. But it says make intoxicants.
do you do
Skill roll pass on D12 on 5 to 12 for D12.
I'm going to have you make me a skill roll for that, since that's your
You got it.
primary. This isn't so much as can you make it? You can certainly make it. Is it going to be good? And then could it make you go blind? Is the
Oh.
Well, I rolled a 3.
so it does not taste well. It is struggling to ferment. This other thing that you are currently fermenting, it is absolutely struggling. It's just probably too cold. Um, So hopefully it'll turn out okay.
Okay, we'll give it time. We
Give it
will tap no dwarvish keg before it's time.
As you continue deeper into the cavern, you start to go steadily downward through a very steep road, to the point where at points there are handholds and footholds and places where you can see where ropes are once hooked to help hoist things up. You all have these lanterns that are bioluminescent that help you kind of penetrate the gloom, but it is extremely dark here. And as you're starting to descend the slope, you're seeing that at the very end of your light, there is a massive canyon that stretches across your vision, and what looks to be the very edge of a bridge, something in the distance.
Oh, there's a bridge, there's a canyon. Do we go down like we're used to, or do we go across that bridge?
I feel like you want us to go in the canyon.
Look, I'm not trying to tell us all what to do here, but we're dwarves, and it's down.
Right.
But we can take the bridge. I'm not. It's a perfect. I'm sure it's a fine bridge. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's really easy to go across.
A lovely
Yeah.
bridge, yeah. Um,
I mean, I'm Team
Yeah.
Canyon. I had a cousin that died after crossing a bridge. So
Did you put them back together?
no, that was the tonsillectomy, but still the bridge was involved. So I feel like
right.
Yeah.
All right, down we go then.
So instead of heading towards the bridge, I hear that you're wanting to advance towards the edge of this canyon and scale down the walls. Was that
Mhm.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
We are dwarves.
All right. As you approach the canyon, you get closer and closer to the bridge, and even though you're kind of keeping your distance from it, your eyes still drift on it just to kind of see what is about it, because there's some interesting things that stick out. The stone itself is stained black. Some of the flagstones are, even from here, you can see kind of catch your very faint light and show that there are some runes carved into the surface of some of those stones. Um, the area here has kind of a weird dry smell to it. Not like stone dry, but like dust dry, which is kind of odd, curious. Um, when you look down the side of this canyon, you see that it descends pretty deep outside the reach of your torch, and the bridge itself extends across the yawning canyon outside the light of your torch. It's the air is kind of still here, although you feel just like a tiny bit of current coming from below, just like a whisper.
Can we make out what kind of runes they are on the bridge?
Do any of us have that?
All right, so you want to head on over and see what that's about. So as you are looking at that, remind me, Kremmerlig, what's your short name?
Brewski.
Brewski. Thank you. So, Brewski, you're not familiar with these runes. There's a special kind of scholastic writing with the dwarves, and you've spent more of your time partying. So if you want to identify this would be an unskilled skill check. So you'd be roll your d12. And
Fuck it. Might as well.
Never let being unskilled stop you.
Never mind. That's a 2.
yes, so you have absolutely no idea. You have this vague feeling where you remember someone telling you about very important runes that are important to know. But all you remember is their mouth moving, and then you like feeling like this hangover that you're nursing, and that's all you remember.
Ooh, I'm this magical mechanic. Can I build some kind of machine that could try to decipher these runes? It says I can invent and build a custom machine. I don't have anything really that would do that, but I could try.
So I was, without the advent of like AI or something, it would be a challenge to figure out how you could pull from like a knowledge repository.
So this is my idea. I
Yeah,
think
fire.
that I could build some kind of like wind up clockwork
Okay.
that could look at the runes and give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down for if we
Gotcha.
need to worry. That's thumbs down. Thumbs up means all good, proceed.
Okay, well, that seems like a feasible thing. So you start to get out your clockwork pieces and assemble them. Make me your skill roll to see if this is going to operate how you hope it to.
Oh gosh, I hope so. It's a 2.
You are struggling in this faint light to try to make something that you're just not getting the legs to move quite how they want to. It's like you're making like a little wind up, like waddling thing, and it's catching over and over, and it's not advancing. It's just making a loud kind of whirring sound. The sound, even though it's kind of high pitched and whiny, it just seems to be swallowed by the gulf of this canyon. Like it doesn't echo. You think, though, as you are trying to get this thing repaired, you think you hear something far in the distance, but you can't quite be sure.
Yeah,
So
that all
how
worked according to
many-
plan. That's how it was supposed to work. So that's
Yeah, I got it.
yeah.
How many torches do we have total? I think I've got one bioluminescent torch.
So
We
these
have
are like
one apiece?
lanterns full of fungus or algae. So that's the.
Do we each have only one?
Yes, I think so.
Do you have a lantern?
I also have one.
I was thinking about dropping one to see how deep this thing is, but
Now, before you do that, Bothic, you have as a secondary skill, you have Scholar. Would you like to use that?
Yeah, sure, we can do that. So roll a d12 or
That's correct.
all right, all right.
Not on the scholar on us.
Now, don't forget
Hmm.
that at any point, if you want to use one of your resolve, that gives you a D4 bonus to whatever you roll.
I don't need to do that. I rolled
What
an
did you-
11.
There we go. So all of you are trying to make complicated solutions to this. But Bothic, as you look at these runes, you instantly are familiar with that these are. These runes are markings of niches of the bones of long dead dwarven warriors. So people interred their bones there as an honorary thing to either glorify the bridge or to protect or ward it. So it could be either a sign of glory or it could be a sign of danger.
It's
But they're
clearly
safe to cross.
it looks safe, but there's the canyon. It could be dangerous because bones and death, and I just there.
yeah, you know what? Let's just keep on trucking and see if we can get to the bottom of this thing, unless it's literally bottomless.
Well, you'll have to descend and find out. So your options are over the bridge, down the canyon, or running parallel across this, and hopefully there's some other crossing.
I mean, we can cross the bridge. Like, not
Yeah,
me being my character. Like, I think the bridge is a fine option.
I
I'm
think
not shoehorning you any direction.
no, but also, I've learned in the past that when I make these clockworks and they don't work exactly the way they're supposed to, they get mad later on. So I would really rather not run into that guy again. So bridge is fine by me.
It's a murderous little clockwork man just
Yeah,
roaming the
Get
bottomless
really ticked
chasm.
off. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, the bridge it is.
Okay. The bridge itself is cold to the touch, far colder than you feel like it should be for stone and ambient temperature. And that scent of dry, weird dust just intensifies. You notice that as you're starting to cross this bridge, there isn't any guano or animal droppings on this. And despite the smell of dust, there's no dust on this bridge. Just the sooty, the stained stones and just this kind of odd fog. This bridge, as you're crossing it, you start to notice that this darkness here is just pervasive. At one point, you can see behind you just the very faint edge of the bridge that where you first stepped on, and you yet can't see all the way across as you were heading forward.
So what's the beer brewing situation like on this bridge? Think you could make something good up here? It's nice and dry. It's still.
I'm still just working my one-man band rig as we've been
Okay.
doing all this. Like I've learned over time that I haven't learned shit about brewing. That the secret of brewing is to give time to the ale and also extra alcohol once the product is finished.
That makes
I mean,
sense.
Yeah, it usually takes at least a month for it to ferment in real world time. So you're not far off. And I have fortified a beer with rum before.
Hell yeah.
You do, on your character sheet, do have a firkin of slightly stale to bitter dwarven ale.
I'm trying to do something here.
All right.
All right.
Making sure. Okay. So you continue crossing the bridge. Okay. As you start to cross the other side, there's a noticeable change in the smell in the air. It goes from that odd, almost choking dust smell to something almost more feral or more angry mammal would be an odd way to describe it. But there's this kind of that wet dog, sulfury smell of something on the other side that it's beginning to get stronger and stronger.
It's the smell of friendship, is what that is.
So I have this no animal power. Can I try to discern what it is?
Absolutely. You wouldn't need to roll for that. You would know
Yep.
that this is not an animal. That this is goblin. This is goblin funk
Oh.
from them being unwashed for far too long, and you know that that is not anything good.
Mm-mm.
Goblin foot hygiene we have established is subpar.
I believe it. Hmm. So are they on the other side of this bridge? Is that what we're like? Or are they further on in this bridge?
Only one way to
Mom.
find out.
So I gotta say, you're smelling them pretty close, but you're not seeing or hearing them.
Yeah, it's not good if we can smell them before we can see them. That's some extra funky goblin.
Yeah, I think we could take on some goblins.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I've got a big ass machete. Let's go.
Yeah,
Alright.
3 of us versus some goblins. Screw them.
Yeah,
I've
we'll
also got a
smoke 'em out.
shotgun, so I'm not worried. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a shotgun?
I have a shotgun.
All
Why
right.
didn't I get a shotgun? All I got is tobacco.
I think I'm trying to think if a shotgun would like hit harder than a mail that's a keg of nails, or vice versa.
Well, let's
I think-
try everything.
Yeah, let's find out. It'll be
give
a
'em-
contest.
Yeah.
Like Lego Lost and Gimli. People will grow to be very fond of our friendship as the
Mhm.
story progresses.
I think so.
As you start to go forward, maybe with a little bit of sense of trepidation, you're now beginning with your glow of your torches, seeing the other side of this. At first, you don't see any goblins, but that smell is still hanging in the air. The other side of the canyon, you see it kind of opens up as if there's another passageway, but the rock itself is kind of like variegated, like it's got folds and little areas that you could see that could be hiding places.
Mm-mm.
Can I do like do we have investigation in this engine?
So you can use, yeah, just tell them what your character wants to do, and if it has to do with your skill, then we can kind of pull that into question.
Okay.
Knowing that we're smelling goblins and their hiding places, I would be looking around, kind of keeping an eye out for like trying to like catch a goblin.
And I'm going to take this opportunity to use my secondary skill and bolster my party by just like doing the most dumbass dwarven dance they've ever seen, and just like chanting like, "We're gonna kick some ass! We're gonna kick some ass!" Like
I like it.
and thank you. And it's gonna be the hit of 2023. So skill roll pass on 6 to 12. Okay. All right, let's give this the old wackarooski. And that is a nat 1. What the
What is
fuck?
with everyone's
I'm
dice?
switching
I rolled a
D12s, man.
10.
That one's going
Yeah.
into dice jail.
Okay, so you are trying to say, we're the best, and as you are making all of this noise, instantly the first thing that kind of happens is that Fimic, you smell like an intense burst of goblin, and there's this sound coming from somewhere to your right or your left, and all of a sudden you hear this shrunk sound, and a rope with a grappling hook sails over the side of the bridge, and it just is snags our singing and dancing friend in the mouth like a fish. So this is a surprise that's happening here. And when
I
you're
should say
surprised,
so.
you can burn a resolve if you want to take an action, or you can reserve your 6 resolve that you start with. But so you're at this junction where the time is slowing. You can either burn an action to try to make a defensive maneuver, or like evasive maneuver, or you could let the scene play out.
I'm man, I'm tempted to test the unkillability of characters in this system, but I think since I have 6 points, yeah, I'm gonna burn a resolve
Okay.
to evade. And is that I'm assuming that's a check.
So yes, you're going to be making me a defense roll. So again, that's going to be a D12, and it's going to be versus whatever's attacking you skill or combat rating.
Lady luck. Well, that's another nat 1.
Now, that being said, you can burn as many resolves as you want to keep
Yeah.
getting D4 bonus, or so.
Even with the D4, I'd have to roll twice to pass that. So no, I'm just gonna burn 1 resolve and take my my fish hooking.
All right, so that gives you one nice opportunity to shout something comically or make a weird sign of surprise to alert your friends as you are getting fish hooked.
Can I
think
just
I'm
pause
just
for a
gonna
moment here because I want to talk about how amazing it would be if this were John's character from the last game, like just appearing out of nowhere. He comes in on the screen.
Oh wow, that would be
We
great.
missed an opportunity there. Okay.
Yeah, I miss you.
Well, yeah, let's pretend that this is like, no, we already know it's goblins. I was gonna say John from a parallel universe, just like
John could be a
playing Fistborg, you know,
Look,
like
the-
catching a me.
We hear in the distance, it's for your health.
Yeah, that's we'll go with that. All I say is like a shrill, high pitched scream because this shit sucks.
So you are pulled and slammed against the side of the bridge, and you feel
Damn.
this thing like pulling with all of its weight. You're hearing on both sides of you the sounds of hoots and hollers of like war cries, and you're hearing like the sound of grappling hooks and ropes, and you're seeing like little goblin limbs beginning to clamber around the side of the bridge. So you have armor. So you are going to first go ahead and roll me your soak. Um,
That's a
Brewski.
D4,
That's
right?
going to be D6 for you.
Ah, yes. Let me see. That dice isn't so bad. That one gave me a 4.
All right, 4. Uh, so that is
Maybe I should just start rolling a D6 instead of a D12.
so you all. So from that whole interaction, you only take kind of a glancing um, blow from this as it's kind of dragged across your keg, so it kind of just scratches in the face, drags on the hook on your keg, and then sinks inside the bridge. You're seeing a whole mob of these goblins that are rising to attack you. So far on the side of the bridge, you see that there are 3 goblins clambering under, and by the sounds of hoots and yells, there might be more even below, clinging to the underside of the bridge as they are ambushing you. So, in the grand tradition of round robin, we will go ahead and start. So, to begin with, is you, Bridget. What are you doing with Fimig?
I'm going to fire my shotgun at the closest goblin.
Good
Great.
plan.
So, for you, you're going to be rolling D12, and you need to be able to hit its combat number.
It's a 1.
You rolled a 1?
I rolled a 1.
All right. So I want this to be a risk roll because that's going to make this a little bit more interesting. So roll me another D12. And this is a time where you don't want to roll low again. You want to roll higher to prevent something bad happening from this.
Can I take a mulligan?
Now, you can still use your resolve.
All right. Yeah, I'll use my resolve because it's got to be better than this. 2 1s in a row is not. 4.
All right. 4. That is just enough to prevent you from failing and having your shotgun blow back up in your face.
Good.
You can hear somewhere in the far distance the sound of like little mechanical legs clicking and like a little like chide laughter. You're pretty sure your thing is coming for you.
No.
So you have this thunderous roar, and as your shotgun just blasts wildly and bucks, you hear something yelling and almost as intensely as your shotgun is roaring from the other side of the bridge in the direction that you're coming, as if it is a war challenge or cry. Next is you,
So,
Mr.
Wait, I am going to do one more because there's one more thing I can do during my turn. I am going
yes,
to
you
give
can do a move action, you can do defense, and you can do your attack. Pardons.
Okay. So once per round, I can give an extra attack action to one of my cohorts here.
That's correct.
So, Pashka, you're up. I'm giving you an extra attack action.
Fantastic. All right.
All right. We'll go ahead and let you do that now, Pastor, because it has to be happen immediately, and then we'll pop back to the order of initiative.
Just
All
real
right.
quick, the roar that you mentioned, I was unclear. Is it from behind us or in front of us?
In
Is
front
it from
of
the
you.
Okay, cool.
It's the clockwork. It's roaring.
All right. Wow, I'm hot tonight. That's an 11
I
to
know you
attack.
I'm
Hey,
giving him
girl.
all my attack moves.
Yeah. So that's an 11 to attack. Let me just do my normal thing. Okay. Where?
Yes, that is going to be a successful hit. So you see that as it's coming over the side, that this is a full-blooded goblin warrior. It's got big biceps, probably because he's been hanging outside of the bridge while you guys were figuring out what you were doing. Looks slightly exhausted and very peeved. In his mouth, he's got a knife, and you see that he has strapped to his back a long and cruel-looking spear. And so, what is it that you just did to him? Which weapon did you use?
I took my snaggletooth, which is my large mining pick
Yes.
that I basically just kind of ran up and was just like, I wanted to go down the canyon, and I just bury that thing into his shoulder because I imagine
Absolutely. So go ahead and roll me the damage for that. And Snaggletooth does D8 damage.
D8. Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, again, if you want to use Resolve on top of your damage roll, you can do that if you so choose.
Okay, and so resolve for this, I get to roll a
D4 damage
D4.
extra on top of your D8. So
Yeah, let's do the extra damage. Where did my
All right.
D4s go? How did I not have any of my pyramids in my thing?
Because they're lurking on the floor waiting for you to step.
Waiting for my toes.
Mhm.
Yeah, man, those are the worst.
I hope
That
you
is-
know that your spouse is urging you to fail, Pashki, in the chat stream. I love you, Jen.
That's an
Yeah,
extra
hey, Jen.
2. So I
All
rolled
right, so
a
your
I rolled a
total?
4 and then a 2.
All right, so you do 6 damage to it. You bring your pick down, and there's this sound of like a popping, like a fresh pumpkin just being. Is that sound? And it doesn't even make a gurgle. You can just see Snaggletooth come out of its mouth, and he falls into the canyon. From underneath the bridge, you hear this
So
pained
lucky.
wail as something watches the lifeless body fall. You don't hear it hit the ground. Next, back up, unless there's anything else you want to do with your move action, Bridget.
No.
All
I'm
right, so
done.
that would put us over to Charles. So, Brewski, what are you doing?
Oh, whoa, that was my Bridget attack. That wasn't my attack.
That's
Oh,
correct.
right.
Next initiative, going in the order of the OBS, so that would be
Okay.
Charles 1 and then Charles 2.
Okay.
Bernard.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Yeah. So I will take aim at the is the goblin that threw the hook at me in sight?
Yes, it is climbing over the side towards you.
Not for fucking long, he's not. I'm gonna hit that guy with the hangover, which is I really like. I love this weapon, so I'm gonna describe it out loud for y'all. Hang on a second. Da 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 da. Where is it? Never mind. Maybe I'll just smack you with it
As
instead.
it's written, a big maul made from lead shot filled keg on a stick.
Yeah, so it's just like it's an entire keg full of lead shot on a stick. I love this weapon.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so let's see if I can connect. Come on, you treacherous so and so. Oh, at last 9.
It's 9. So
Yes.
you gear up and you swing, and you get that satisfying crunch of keg on bone.
You betcha.
Roll me
And is
the
that
damage. That is
that's
D10 for
D6,
the
right?
hangover.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. As painful as the film series. That's 7 damage.
So there's
Oh,
this.
and I'd like to burn a resolve point to stack 5 on that.
Absolutely. So as you connect your keg on a stick with the goblin, you feel like all of its bones shatter instantly, but then you still dig your heels in and put more force into the blow. You splatter, the goblin across all of his compatriots that are climbing up the side. You see that there are another 3 of these on their same ropes coming up, and you get them right in the eyes, and you hear like this like curse in goblin that you probably means like, I got Greg in my eyes, and they are starting to be demoralized. You can start seeing them quivering a bit as you have just punctured one like a ripe piece of fruit, and the other one you've just splattered.
So I do have to say, we've learned tonight the goblins are much like pumpkins. One of them got cut like a fresh one. This is more like, one of your old ass, like sad grandpa pumpkins, like 2 weeks after Halloween, just boom, you went
Even the
everywhere.
squirrels don't want to chew it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Mold's already done with it, moved on to better pastures.
So with that, it brings us to Mr. Paschke. What is Bothic doing?
Bothic has his good old Snaggletooth ready to go with 7 to just any other near goblins. Gimme.
All right. So you see some other coming over the side of the bridge.
I charge them. You won't stop us now.
Go ahead
Go.
and make me your attack.
Okay, so I rolled a 7.
Okay, that is sufficient. You bring your already kind of gore-ridden pick down, and there's that kind of satisfying whoomph sound and bone cracking as you absolutely puncture this goblin.
All right, I rolled a 3, and then I rolled another 2 on my D4.
All right. You said 2 and 3?
Yeah.
All right. So you swing this all the way through its head, but it opens its mouth and it just drools blood, and it pulls itself off your pick, and like one eye is kind of like bulging out, and it's still like trying to climb up the side. The
Gnarly.
other of the goblins that are on the ropes next to it look at whatever just happened to this one. They look at you, and they're starting to have like a break in their morale. So they're going to check. They do not lose their nerve, and they redouble and are starting to come up the side. Now, sometimes during your action, you can also do your defense in advance when you're in close proximity. When you're getting attacked, we'll just go back and retroactively do your defenses in order. That way, so no one gets an unfair attack. You still have a move action if you want, and you can also go ahead and defensively make your defense roll if you want, because you can see that you're going to be mobbed by these goblins that are coming up over the side. What would you like to do with the rest of your action, Bothic?
I would backpedal to reconnoiter with my friends.
All right, so you back up towards the center of the bridge, kind of defensively, kind of like tactfully withdrawing from their advance. So coming over the sides immediately on the bridge, there are 2 on the left side that are going to be converging towards you, Brewski, because you just absolutely splattered the goblins, their friends, and that's
Goblin
you're going to be
Greg.
the first kind of major threat. So go ahead and make me one defense roll as one of these goblins pulls out a spear from behind his back and lunges at you.
That's unpleasant. One moment. What the hell did I do with you? There it is. Okay. And my defense is a not very robust 4.
So you try to maneuver yourself, but you've swung so hard that you kind of left your side open. One of these warriors,
Also, let's be honest, I'm at least 3/4 of the way shit-faced.
Mhm.
there's no better way to be. you've left yourself exposed, and one of these goblins finally like wipes out the last of the gore out of his eyes and lunges at you with that spear, crying that same kind of name that you heard before when they fell lifelessly into the canyon. It must be the goblin's name. It's some type of oath of vengeance.
Greg.
Lunges at you. So go ahead and roll me your armor soak.
That's a D6 for my hefty boy armor. And that's a 5.
So, with this curse on his lips, screaming bloody murder, he shoves his spear into your armor, and his spear just deflects right off of it. It makes like a loud ping sound.
Beautiful.
He looks absolutely bewildered as he looks down at his spear, looks up at your giant keg on a stick, and doesn't look very confident in his life decisions at that moment. The other one goes ahead and attacks, and go ahead and you've already used your defense. So roll me your armor soak as this other one tries to move in and flank, and then tries to stick this in between your armor.
Lucky D6. Oh, that's a nat 6.
So this goblin tries as hard as he can to shove his spear in, but your armor is just too solid, and his spear just drags across the side of it. Bridget, as you are standing there on the side,
Just real quick, as these goblins ineffectually strike at me, I give a big dwarfy laugh and boom out, "Behold the power of liquor!"
We want to hear the dwarfy laugh, though. Good. Excellent.
good for
excellent.
Sanus, good for dwarves. I love it.
It's multi-use, yeah.
So you are so as you are standing there, Bridget, watching this unfold, you are beginning to smell this odor coming from on the other side of the bridge. It's accentuated with something metallic and something almost herbaceous, and advancing towards the edge of the bridge that you were advancing towards, you see a goblin that is covered in strange runes, like there's body paint, ashes, and blood daubed on its body. Across its head, it has like scarification and like weird fetishes in its hair. And you're pretty sure that its eyes might be glowing.
Oh, great.
But it seems to be muttering something under its breath. And you are starting to feel like the hair on the back of your neck beginning to stick up. Mr. Paschke, this is one of the rare times I don't call you by your character names, because the random name generator has really made tongue twisters of these dwarf names.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But I love it. Where else are you going to play as a Bothic?
Great dwarf names.
Bothic, two of these goblins have climbed up over the side and make their advance on you. And you've already made one of your defense rolls, I believe, correct?
Have I? I don't think. I don't
not.
I don't think I have.
Go ahead and make me your defense roll, as two of these are advancing towards you to attack.
Okay, so that's a 3.
Okay.
My hot streak has ended.
You are so baffled by the fact that your pick didn't instantly kill this goblin and that he's still hanging by a thread, that you leave yourself open, and it dumbly swings the jagged knife that held by its side towards you lazily. Roll me your armor soak. So for you, that is D8.
D8 armor soak.
Damn.
2.
All right. So you
I didn't mean
take a small gouge as it just stumbles forward and skewers you with the knife. You could feel that it just penetrates kind of like a tin can, but doesn't get too deep into your organs. So you just take 1 point of vital damage.
Okay.
And it just looks up at you, this lolling, as like parts of its brain are just flowing out of its mouth. And it just is kept by some type of primal urge to just stab dwarves. Its friend comes up behind you and then tries to shank you as well with one of those wicked spears. Go ahead and roll me your soak.
I already rolled a
And
one.
A 1.
I rolled a 1.
I saw his
So-
face light up, and I didn't know which way that was going.
Same here. So this is one of those cases where it's the small stab in the front, but the big one in the back. The spear punches through your armor, making a loud thunk sound, and you take 4 points of vital damage.
You
If it
say
had been
that like
5 or
it's a-
more, then you would have actually been wounded.
You
So
say that like
just,
it's a day-to-day occurrence. Like that's like one of your, just like, well, it's one of those things. A small stab in the front, big stab in the back.
Mhm.
I mean, how you're going to the
Wednesday.
store, right? You're
Yeah.
at Kroger's because you're old and you just you get stabbed in the front. You're like, my kidneys, and then you get speared in the back, and you're like, my other kidney. Sorry, Charles.
No, I've got more than the fair share. So like,
you've got a spare. So
yeah, the
Wow.
odds that I'm gonna get stabbed in the kidney are actually higher than average. So yeah.
So you take a more sizable bit of damage, and with that, since all these other attacks have been pretty effectual, this one roars in triumph, like you know that it's going to be getting some type of extra bonus pay or something. And the rest
Oh,
of the
no, he's
goblins
not.
roar in excitement. Top of the initiative. So for you, Finnig, you're kind of locking eyes with this magic user, shaman, cleric of some kind, and it seems to be, curling its lips in a curse as it's looking
Terrible
at you.
conjunctivitis sufferer.
All right, I think I'm gonna have to charge at this thing with my machete. I think that it's leaving me no other recourse here. I'm going to let my good friend here know that I forgot his dwarf name. Sorry, Pashki. But it's that I'll put him back together when I'm back. Don't worry, I'll take care of that spear wound.
I've had worse.
And then I'm going to charge at this shaman with the voice of the dark.
All right. Well, as a question, almost every creature, even though dwarves are very proud, brave characters or figures, there's always something that they fear. And what type of insect really unnerves Finnig?
Oh, he hates those house centipedes with all the legs, like the little fuzzy ones. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The wandering eyebrows of Mother Nature.
I'm gonna think of it as wandering eyebrow from now on. So there is you feel like the very surface of your brain being scraped just a bit as you're getting charged with the shaman, and their eyes flash a little bit with this like actinic glare, and all of a sudden the ground is just covered in those walking eyebrows, and you are mobbed by a whole, I don't know what you would call a gang of centipedes, a morass.
Centipod.
My worst fucking nightmare.
So it's, you're getting attacked by a myopod of these house centipedes with their long legs getting underneath your armor. And it is one of the most horrible thing that you can experience. They be swarming you, just taking the charge out of you, or the momentum of your charge, and kind of anchoring you in place. Roll me D12.
That's how many centipedes you swallow.
One.
One. Well, that's good.
Oh,
That is
good.
actually a good thing. So
For
you
the
are
first time.
completely engulfed in centipedes, which are some of the words that you never want to hear. But it is just your luck that you are engulfed in a mass of centipedes. You can hear their legs chittering and gliding off your armor, and you are spending your whole action pulling these off. Basically, you are mobbed by this writhing mass. So if you do more actions rather than kind of pull these off for the one round, then you take automatic damage. unless you want to burn resolve. But the fact that you rolled 1 means you're just affected by this for 1 round. So you can sacrifice your action this round or burn a resolve and tear through it. But
Yeah,
if
sorry,
you roll a
bros.
12,
I got to deal
boy,
with
that
this.
would roll bad.
Yeah, I got to deal with this. You're on your own. I looked it up. A grouping of centipedes is called a myriapod, like a myriad.
A myriapod.
Because it's a myriad
That's
of legs.
actually kind of rolls off the tongue, much like the centipedes would, I imagine.
Off your armor and then back onto your face. So you are. Feel free as a free action, because you're allowed to do as many free actions as you want. You can scream in terror. That's what I'd probably be doing.
Yeah, I'm going to scream in terror and retch.
That sounds like a capital idea. So that is consumed the rest of your turn. Unfortunately, the worst thing about it is it's hard to hear this like anything else other than like the legs like winding together and like shoving in your ear canal. The shaman is just like giggling with this high-pitched, just off-canter cackle, and it's just unpleasant. Next at initiative is going to be you, Keg Boy. Brewski.
Brewski. Yeah, I'm going to charge the hell over there and give that magic user one hell of a hangover, I hope.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right, here
So you can
goes.
move action to charge.
Yep. Oh, it's about damn time. Yep, that's a 9.
All right. So you swing and you connect the hangover with the shaman.
And I'm going to burn one more resolve to auto stack that 5 before I roll damage.
Oh, for you, I'm sorry, I should clarify. You're not burning your resolve for that. That's vitality. So you're taking 1 damage.
That's fine.
Which is better because you get to save your resolve. And then out of combat, your vitality basically
I have a shitload
charges
of it. Yeah.
back. Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna stack 5, and then it's a D6 damage, or is it a D10? It's a D10 for that big boy, isn't it?
That is correct.
All right. One moment while I look among my many dices. All right, here we go. That would be a 10. Nat 10.
Nat 10. So that is so if you got a nat 10 on that counts as you get some extra damage on top of that for rolling full. But in essence,
I repeat my Greg trick.
Absolutely.
See, you said in my character description that I'm bad at magic, but I'm making motherfuckers vanish left and right over here.
Yeah, I've been impressed so far.
So give me what is your witty thing that you say as you pulverize the shaman?
Oh, I wish I could remember any of the catchphrases from Legend of the Drunken Master. Not that there were any catchphrases.
Abracadabra.
Yeah, abracadabra.
Work smash it. So you absolutely beam in the shaman's skull. You see that this thing is festooned with the protective wards, and none of them are strong enough to prevent the killer hangover that it is now enduring. As you crush its skull, you hear the rest of the goblins shriek in terror, and they're going to basically make a morale check. You hear the goblins begin to wail as you've smashed the shaman. And they go back they start running the opposite way on the bridge to clear out.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that drunk thing where even though they're already running away, I'm kind of chasing them just to hurry them on a little bit with the hangover.
A lot of
still
posturing.
Swinging.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of drunken posturing.
As you are running back over the bridge, you hear the sounds of more things moving underneath the bridge. In the opposite direction, of course, towards in the direction where you're chasing them. There are a lot more of these goblins than you expected, and maybe they might be a problem again as you kind of chase them into the distance. But for now, they've retreated, and you hear the sounds of whimpering and screaming in the distance.
I'm not going to chase them into the distance. It's just kind of you get out of here.
I mean, there's no option. I can stop on the bridge. You're just going to go all the way to the end. The goblins.
The bridge has been thoroughly buttered, and I just go sliding the whole way.
All right. So you regroup yourself and scrape off bug guts. And what now? You've kind of survived this initial onslaught, but you know that they might regroup as goblins tend to do. You see that there is a passageway deeper into the mountain. Um, what are your first steps?
Um,
I'm gonna take a big old double shot of lemon pledge to celebrate my enormous victory and prowess. And I'm also going to use my skill in carousing to get everybody drinking on my flask of dwarven liquor and restore everyone's spirits. Like, not get faced, just a little jolly, you know?
As a fun thing, there is actually an alcohol tracking mechanism in this where basically you take like temporary alcohol damage. But
Oh, that's
the
fun.
dwarf liver is so potent that it is able to chew through a unit of alcohol in 5 minutes. So
Oh,
you could drink yourself to an inebriation, but you have to work pretty hard at it because dwarves are hardy. Just as a
well, yeah,
fly.
we'll just you know, we'll just carouse it up a little bit.
All right, yeah, I'm going to take a shot of that lemon pledge and try to patch up
Cool.
Pashke over here.
Yeah, good idea. Steady your hands first. It's a good
Yeah,
idea.
exactly. For the nerves.
And for your health.
All right, I'm going to roll my d12 and let's see how well I can patch him up. Ooh, it's a 2. It's a
Now,
2.
now, before you start cutting, your vitality will recover over time because you kind of regenerate just a bit. So if he just kind of walks it off, he'll be
Oh,
okay.
no. I insist.
She rolled a 2, so I think that means she accidentally cuts off a nipple, one of his
Yeah,
nipples.
so go ahead and roll me a risk. So it gets D12 and let me know how you did. And let's see if you actually inflict damage to our friend.
A 1.
It's a nipple. It'll grow back.
All right. So you.
I mean, I'm a male dwarf. Do I really need nipples?
And are you
Nevertheless,
using
2 of them.
What are you using to patch him up with? Are you using like a scalp? What is it you're using?
You know,
Scalpel to
I've got
patch them up?
I've got a pot of glue, some random screws and nails. I've got all kinds of stuff that will stick them back together.
All
Yeah,
right,
that's-
so you just take a wad of glue with some random screws and nails and just shove it in his puncture wound to seal him up, and you feel Blothic, like your blood hurts a little bit, and you feel like stinging in your body. I don't know, fighting off tetanus or something.
Yeah,
It's not pleasant. So you take another 2 points of vital damage. As like screws are now stuck to your flesh. You're
So
not
I'm at-
bleeding anymore, but it's real uncomfortable.
So I'm at seven damages now,
Yeah.
or am
Most
I
of
at
it is-
8? I did the 1, and then I got.
Well, it depends. If you try doing jumping jacks right now with screws and nails in your puncture wound, you're probably going to be at 8 for sure.
But if
I'm
a
a
goblin
dwarven-
bumps into him, they'll take damage. So
That's a good point.
I'm a dwarven maraca right now.
Mhm.
Oh, that is perfect. So do you continue going down this passage, or are you going to be gluing nails and cobbling other interesting contraptions together?
I think we can go down the passage now. My work here is done.
Thank you.
I hope you dramatically
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah. I'm real proud of myself.
So you descend down this
Job well
passageway for another hour. The passageway begins to shrink just a bit. You can see that must have been some type of old natural pathway, and at some point it's been carved to maintain like a steady width. That it's a width of about 6 dwarves abreast. It
How
continues.
many goblins is that?
That would be at least 8 to 12, depending on how much they've been starved by their warlord. So you eventually come across this opening back up, as if you were kind of in a funnel, and it opens into like a set of extremely large, vast iron doors that span the gulf. These doors are crumpled, and and like one is torn off of its hinges. I mean, this thing is is almost cyclopean in size, for lack of better words. And the other one is kind of laying askance, as if something had just casually tossed the door off. The gates themselves are smeared with soot, and you can see from the ground below it must have been a big disturbance because the floor has been chipped and cracked.
Now, one of us has beast read or whatever, right?
I can know animals and know plants.
You think you could tell from the scratches on the floor what the hell that might be?
I think I could try.
So that one's not going to necessarily need a roll because there's nothing natural that could possibly move this type of amount of sheer iron and reinforced structure. This could only be done with some type of grave and dark magic. The fact that there is some type of like sooty remains of some type of strong evocation kind of gives signal that this is something definitely not natural.
Oh, we're gonna get our asses kicked by whatever that thing is.
But as you look, though, you see that there's little bits of cave moss kind of growing here and there. So this must have happened aeons ago.
I have
And
nothing
my
to
urge to
lose.
repair that door is rising, so we better
That's
probably move on.
a quest of some kind. Anything else that you're wanting to do, or are you wanting to just pass on through?
To the other side.
Ever forward.
All right. Who's going through first?
I'll go.
Yeah, let him.
We
then.
can send Pashke through backwards because he's got that natural defense now that I put on him.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the spearhead at least is still in me because it just makes the most sense. So yeah.
Well, and it's not going anywhere now. So
Yeah, it's
No,
glued
it's
in.
stuck there good.
So, go ahead and roll me D12 then.
3.
All right. As you are passing through these gates, on the other side, you could see that there must have been some other type of fallout from whatever blew these doors off. The rock itself is on the other sides of the door is charred and blackened with some type of terrible force. But then past that, the passageway through the mountain continues as it did before, just as showing no signs of whatever this giant cataclysm was. But you hear something far in the distance kind of echoing down this corridor, like thick, heavy, lazy footsteps.
I ready my crossbow this time.
no, I like lazy footsteps. I've learned that lazy footsteps often lead to gentle creatures. So let's hope.
Do you want
that's
to
a good
make a
saying.
check to identify this? Since
Sure,
this
let's
is
see
gonna be
if I
more under
can.
time. Okay.
Good idea.
7.
So you are pretty sure that by the kind of shuffling, thumping, lazy footprints or footfalls, that this is likely an ogre. So one ogre by itself, normally they go in pairs, so you're not exactly sure what that might mean, but that might inform you to how you want to approach this. They are, of course, large, thick, very resilient creatures if you engage them in combat, but they tend to be a little bit clumsy.
Are they automatically hostile? Are they sentient?
So they are, if anything, you can reason with any type of creature if it so wants to be. Ogres they take offense very easily angered, but they can be bribed or they can be cajoled. But if you ever insult them in the wrong way, then you'll find how unpleasant they can really be.
Look, all I'm saying is we got a lonely ogre here. we've got beer. I bet we could bro
Yeah,
down.
I was
to this
gonna say
ogre.
I got all kinds of stuff that I can gift to this fine
right.
individual.
So we're gonna put the moves on an ogre, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
You bet.
we're gonna
Okay.
seduce this ogre.
Well, I mean, it's a single ogre. We've been told, so that means not married, an unmarried ogre, right? Yeah.
Since you are the animal expert here, what's the most interesting fact that you know about ogres, Finnig?
Um, I know that they prefer lager. This is something I know about them, and since we have a beer brewer with us, maybe he'll have something that the ogre will like.
I do, as a matter of fact. I do. Um. So, like, okay. Um.
It's either lagers or Bahama Mamas, and I don't think we have any of those with us, so I'm gonna go with the lager.
Yeah. Um. Did you say that the stuff that I'd been brewing up was going to work as a lager? Our illustrious GM Ian.
I mean, lagers take a long time to ferment because
Okay.
you're cold brewing them. So you're not you. If you take time to open up your inventory and sample, you can kind of know where it is. You just know that the airlock is not as vigorously fermenting as you would expect it to.
Okay. Well, you know what? We'll just
It
trade
could
with
be
what I.
it could be almost done. If the airlock is slowed down, fermentation is slowing, so it might have eaten all the sugar.
So are you going to approach this ogre? I mean, it seem to be any hurry. You're not like you're hearing it echo through. It's outside the light of your torch or your lanterns, but you just hear it kind of meandering in your direction.
I mean, then we've got time to get the beer ready to set a little scene, get some
All right.
ambiance going.
Describe this for me. With all the various accoutrements you have in your inventory, what is it that you do to appease this ogre?
Okay, we're gonna
Well,
we can turn our lantern lights down first of all, I think.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
I've got mining. Can I carve a table and chairs so that when the ogre gets here, uh, we've got like a nice place for him to relax?
It would take quite some time to just carve a chair out of the side of the wall.
I
That would
thought I'd
probably not
ask.
be. They'll be done in a couple minutes. It would take for it to reach you.
Okay.
That's okay though, because I have a tin of hardtack cookies.
Mm.
I also have I don't know, do ogres like oats? I've got both.
Onions.
I see. I have both booze and it says here stale too bitter ale, but like that's kind of always how I've liked it. So yeah, I have a what the fuck is a firkin? Whatever that is, I have one of those of ale and a
Firkin
flat.
is like a quarter keg that is wooden and dispenses beer through like air displacement.
Oh,
So it's like if you ever see like gravity poured beer that it doesn't use like an engine for like other cask beers. It's portable. It's basically just ambient beer.
is it like a party keg basically?
And that, for a dwarf, it would be, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm gonna have that tapped, ready to go. I've got a flask of dwarven hooch, which you know, it might not be high quality, but I add just enough lemon pledge to give it that like citrus kind of limoncello
That little
vibe.
something.
Yeah. And I think that's everything I've got to make the. Oh, I've got toothpicks. So I put a fancy toothpick through each individual hardtack cookie.
You break
Um,
half of your toothpicks trying to get it into the hardtack, but you
that's all right because
eventually.
it says right here too many toothpicks. So by definition, I have
Way too many
enough.
toothpicks. We
So
should have
Yeah.
built
you
a
set
table.
a lovely little scene here. You've got
Yeah.
mood lighting, beer, spirits slash floor cleaner, copious toothpicks for all of his teeth.
Yep.
Some things that might qualify as cookies, and eventually this thing shuffles into light, into the very dim light. You can first see its legs, like big, stocky ochre flesh. It is barefooted and it is just wearing a loincloth. Almost stereotypically over its shoulder, it's hoisting a big club that looks to be extremely well worn and stained.
Do any of just before we launch into the scene, do either of you guys have your primary oh, I see, service skills. Okay. Never mind. Yeah, like I've got carouser as my service skill, so I think I'm going to yeah, it says right here enthusiasm, team spirit, bolster resolve, hold my liquor, celebrate, inspire, and drinking. Yeah, I think I'm going to play host to our ogre friend.
Man, I just realized that no one picked the cook that I made. I guess that was because John isn't playing this evening. Uh,
Yeah.
all right. So this thing is a surprise, but not in a bad way. It's just more flummoxed that you have this thing set out as if you're greeting it rather than meeting it with immediate hostility, and it looks at you kind of dumbfounded, blinking one eye at a time in kind of slow astonishment as kind of opens its mouth kind of dumbly, and looks a little bit confused at A, dwarves on the mountain again, and then B, the scene. Tell me, how is it that you engage this to set the situation, and then we'll roll some dice here.
Okay. My approach is going to be, friend ogre, we have prepared this welcome repast for you, in the interests of forging good relationships with our most respectable and beloved neighbors, the ogres. And we would invite you to partake.
All right. Okay. Well, all right. So the ogre thinks for a second. Like you could hear the brain cells grinding over one another in its large head, and it eventually just says, "Okay," and sits cross-legged on the floor with a heavy thump, kind of making everything rattle in front of it. It gratefully accepts all of the hospitality that you offered, and in between eating all of the hardtack cookies without taking the toothpicks out, just eating it, toothpicks and all, he says, "You know, at one point we were allies, but people forget, and the dwarves are returning, but it's been a long time and so much bad blood." And he like sees your tin of toothpicks and then kind of
Yeah, I straight up like offer him all the toothpicks he wants.
he just chugs all the toothpicks at once, just like chewing it as loudly.
I turn to my friends. Should I give him the snuff? Should I let? Should I?
Yes.
Yeah. I've
See if
got
he wants some.
jawbreakers too. Do you think he wants
Yeah.
jawbreakers? Yeah.
Sure, man.
Okay.
I
We're pulling out
offer
all the
him.
stops for this guy.
So he takes well, you to him is a pinch of snuff, but to you is your entire bag, and then just snuffs it in one go. You see his nose kind of get a little bit red, and he's holding back a sneeze. He sees your bag of jawbreakers, accepts it, and shoves it in his mouth, and then sneezes, shooting like shotgun pellets all around the place, shattering one of your lanterns, and then just ricocheting pellets down the hallway. And he goes, "I bet you ran into the." And you see him just like swallow all the all the jawbreakers at once, and like he like stops for a second, his eyes bulge out, and he punches himself in the throat until it goes down. "Goblins, they've been real bad in these parts. One you got to really look out for is the real tall one with the scarred face. He's missing an ear. He's the one that calls the orders in these parts." But
All right. I think at that point we say, thank you very much, friend. We hope to be back this way, and we look forward to warmer relations with the ogres now that we are returning. It's a new age of dwarven diplomacy, and as you can tell from my own, hearty, fun-loving manner, like we're not the dour, dwarves you used to know. And by the way, we killed a bunch of goblins back there if they were bothering you.
Including a big one. There was a big one we took down.
I think he wasn't a Scarface with one ear though. He
No,
had
but
fetishes on his head.
he was at least important of some kind. So
Yeah, you can tell him we killed the shaman ogre.
the ogre with his big meaty fingers reaches inside of his jaw, and he starts like wiggling a tooth, and you hear this like sickling grizzly sound with like a pop, like a champagne cork, and he pulls out a molar and he gives it to you, and he's just like, "Thank you."
Aw, that's awesome. I take it with a gracious bow. I accept his gift, and maybe I should give him a friendship token in exchange. What else do I have I can give him? Or do one of you guys want to gift him something?
I mean, I don't want to run out of pipe weed. I guess I could have him smoke some glue, but no.
Smoke some glue.
Give him 2 cigar butts.
Can I give him
Nice.
one of my teeth?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've
You
got
All
the
right.
equipment
don't you?
for it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to take out my slightly crooked Phillips screwdriver and pop out one of my own, grimacing
Love
the
it.
entire time because it's incredibly painful.
All right. So
And then I give him my tooth.
you take 2 points of vitality damage because it's extremely painful.
Hmm.
But you're a doctor and you know what you're doing. So
I do. I'll
uh,
fix it later.
are you going to take the time to pack it full of nail and glue, or just let it dry socket?
You know,
Nail and glue.
nail and
Kidding.
glue. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
So-
maybe just like a single screw with glue in there. So that's my meat tooth now.
So
Yeah.
all right. So the ogre takes with him the partially lagered keg with him, and ambles down the hallway towards where you said you smashed all of the goblins, and you hear him like licking his chops in eager anticipation.
I'm glad we
Um,
weren't there for that.
Hmm.
All right. So you have been adventuring for the greater part of a day. Do you want to camp here, kind of in the middle of a hallway, or do you want to press forward and maybe find a better advantage area to set camp?
So let's keep going. I'm all wired up from jawbreaker scraps, so let's.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Okay.
From how you've been told where this new, or not new, this reclaimed dwarven fortress is, you know that it's there is a pathway that kind of goes along the ridge of the mountains. So when you come to a fork that could take you deeper into the mountain, where there's a definitive scent of just more ogres and goblins, there's a path that goes up, and you can hear the sound of wind howling in the distance. So I'm assuming that you guys aren't wanting to derail and continue towards where you're supposed to go, unless you really want to venture into ogre land with your tooth show of friendship.
No, I think we'd keep.
I mean, that's
pressing
tempting,
on.
but
It is, but I think we want to showcase more of the system, and we've already done ogre diplomacy, which was fun.
Yeah.
All right, so you climb up through winding passageways, and eventually you come out into the open air. You see, it's if you are like the very top ridge of a mountain is hollowed out, and above you can see the sky. It's just someone this like you're inside of a cavern, and the top was shorn off. Whoever hasn't rolled a d12 in a while, go ahead and sling me one of those.
I'll do it. And may Lucifer have mercy on our souls.
are you sure you don't want me to do it?
Actually, that's 12, which
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if that's good or bad.
So the sky above is brilliantly bright. The air is still. You know that far in the distance that normally there is a wintry howl that it comes through these mountains rolling through, but you're in a spot of just calm and brightness, and illuminates this dark passage. You can see that there is a like a roadway, or like a small bridge that goes over a small little, what looks to be like a frozen river, and it goes up, and on top of it goes up and out of this out of this mouth. I'm going to say the word mouth a whole bunch. Out of the mountain onto the top of it.
Gotcha.
So,
Well, it might be interesting to go take a look see out of doors. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I could go
yeah,
for some fresh air after all the ogre mouth and goblin and everything else.
Goblin feet, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
all right. So as you cross over the small frozen river and you take this winding road that takes you up, you get this breathtaking look of this mountain chain. You can see in all directions. The direction that you came from on this journey days ago, it looks like it's completely engulfed in a giant blizzard. You know that it would be almost impossible to go back the way you came if you desired it. In the far distance, you can see on top of a mountain peak, probably still another day's march at least, coming out of the side of the mountain, you can see the edges of brick as if you like as the stronghold itself is kind of peeking out the side of the cliff. So you know that you're in the right direction and that you just still have a weary march to go. The roadway continues kind of perilously along the edge of a mountain. So you're lucky that you have really good weather. But as you see this road continue, the sides of the mountain are completely covered in snow and it's beginning to reflect into your eyes painfully. I need all of you to make me a risk test or risk going snowblind.
4.
11.
11, 4, and
I had the wrong dice. There we go. 7. I'm loving 7.
all right. So despite being underground for so long, your eyes naturally adjust and you don't go snowblind. So huzzah. You march for about an hour on this road, and you are seeing that the road itself becomes broken up as if there were some old rock slides and stuff, making this much more perilous road. All of you make me one more risk check.
Do we ever get to do a reward check?
No.
That was a 3 this time.
6 for
Okay.
me.
Also
3
6.
and 6. So let's see.
Do I just go
that 3.
tumbling down the mountainside?
Well, come get you.
So for you, I'm going to guess with that, you feel your foot slip. This could be a case you're on the razor's edge of passing versus failing. Would you like to burn a resolve to keep
I
your footing?
would. I would like to burn a resolve to keep my footing.
So all you need is 1 point. So no matter what you roll on the d4, that would be sufficient. You catch
Okay, that's
yourself
probably
by
good
the
then,
beard.
yep.
You hear your beard, your
Catch
keg.
myself by the beard?
Yeah,
Just like,
it's like pulling yourself up by your bootstraps.
yeah.
I love that.
And you advance carefully. Eventually, the road itself dips back down and back into the darkness. You see that as you advance back into this area, the air takes on a much different quality to it. There is like a odd freshness here compared to the cool fresh air being outside. This is that smell of like when you're in the middle of a thick forest, not like any self-respecting dwarf would be in one of those places, but that rich scent of loam and humidity from like that nice humid smell.
That's, smells like elves to me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This is elf shit.
Lame.
Yeah.
As you,
Hella lame.
as you wind down deeper in through these passageways, they kind of snake and meander at kind of weird angles, as if you're almost going through like an old lava tube or something in the mountain. You come across this canyon that opens up, and the walls of this space are grooved out. Either if it's natural formation or done by dwarven hands, it's unknown. But there is a garden that spans this area, and each niche there's a different type of luminescent lichen or moss, and the air itself seems to be almost has its almost like a aurora borealis or alice aurora borealis.
We know what you mean. Northern
Thank
Lights,
you.
Yeah.
underground.
Thank you.
I think just
It looks pretty.
borealic. I think
Borealis.
borealic is probably or auroric is
Aurora.
probably good. Aurora.
Yeah, it's the Aurora Borealis underground in the middle of the day.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Totally normal.
hmm
So all these things together, kind of glowing softly, make strange lights that dances in the air. In the middle of this space, there's a pool that seems to be iridescent and shifting with colors. By it, there are some benches, and almost looks to be almost like kind of like an arcade of some kind. Maybe
Pretty.
at one point this was some type of settlement, but now has kind of been overtaken by the riotous growth of these strange plants.
Yeah, this definitely feels like elf shit.
Well, we could like I've got probably enough like corn liquor left in my, secret stash that we could set all this on fire if you guys want to do some cleansing. Provided that is that oh my god, I'm gonna do it too. Pashki's character, Botchkin. I'm gonna call him Botchkin. So Botchkin, do you have a flint and steel or like a Zippo or something? Same level of technology there.
I mean, Pashki knows that that his character, who has a name that has that, but his character is ignoring you because his character's name is Bothic, and
Bothic.
Oh,
Bothic, I'm
and-
sorry, buddy.
and it's just like we've been traveling together for days, weeks. I remember when I found you laying there drunk, and what you don't even remember my name. You
Why,
look
why do you think I don't remember your name?
because you're drunk. Because you're always drunk and you don't remember anything.
You know, it always ends like this every day.
Sometimes I just want to feel appreciated. As the leader that it says on my character sheet. Not that we've played that way at all. Yeah, I have a flint and steel. So you want to set something on fire?
I mean, after that cathartic venting of feelings, I feel like you should tell me what the next step is.
No, I'm fine burning everything.
Okay, cool. Let's do that. We're gonna set the glowing moss on fire.
Should we keep some of the glowing moss just in case?
We don't want to eradicate a
Conservationist.
species.
No, I was saying in case we want to like smoke it or make beer with it or something.
In that case, yes.
It could act like peat moss and clarify it.
See?
Yeah, let's
Irish
yeah.
moss.
That's a good
Irish
idea.
moss. My bad.
I'm
Let's
just saying,
collect-
speaking
let's
as someone
collect
with
moss
scientific
before we-
inclination,
Yes,
and by that I
let's-
mean I'm a mechanic and a magician, so clearly I'm the scientist here. I
Yes,
think we
yeah.
should smoke or drink the moss.
I'm gonna empty all of the oats out of my oat sack, and I am going to fill it with various types of glowing moss, carefully separated by I don't know one of my other items.
So you start picking the moss, and when you pick it, it kind of quivers just a bit, as if it's resisting being harvested, and it shakes itself almost like a koosh ball. And after a few kind of these like twitching pulsations, it stops and goes limp.
All right, I put it back.
That's enough for you. You're just like, no.
Yeah. No. I think I don't want to hurt anything that's like koosh ball-esque.
You're
That's
gonna
just
burn it.
adorable. I know. Like I'm having second thoughts now.
Look, now
I mean,
that
you've
we
already
know
killed
it's,
it.
yeah.
Oh wait, I can know a plant. Can I know the glowing moss?
Yeah. So go ahead. This is something you're not that familiar with. So go ahead and make me a check just to see if you know off the top, if it's safe to eat or what to do with it.
It's an 8.
8. So you know that this is something you're not familiar with, and the fact that you know that there's something quirky about this, like it's not wholly natural. So there must have been some sort of magical influence here at some point that it's a lichen and a moss together with kind of an odd animalistic character about it, as if it's going on its evolution towards being something, but it's not quite there yet. You're pretty sure it's not sentient or it can't feel pain, but that twitching and writhing was kind of odd. You notice that the other lichen nearby and other patches of moss kind of change color just a bit, getting a little bit darker after that one next to it is beginning to kind of shrivel up and.
Hmm. Yeah, so here's what I know. I have no idea what the hell this is. But I think it's not liking being picked right now. So maybe we should just leave it be and not set it on fire, smoke it, or drink it.
It's probably safe to eat, is what you think.
And it could be safe. We could always just try, just to be sure.
I mean, I eat some.
I love that policy. Like you know, eat it just to be sure that it's
Yeah.
not poison.
It's the great white shark principle. You put it in your mouth and figure out what it is.
Exactly. Yeah.
The toddler principle.
The puppy principle. Yeah.
As the leader of the group, I volunteer strictly because I have taken the most damage. And if one of us has to die, it should be me for failing you as a leader.
It's gonna be fine. I can fix it. Whatever happens.
Oh,
Okay.
this is going to be great. All right, go ahead then, and as one of our kind of last rolls here, go ahead and roll me a risk check.
5.
Fantastic. So you feel a warmth kind of radiating from your body. Like it starts in your stomach, almost like some of that floor polish your friend is so constantly drinking. And as it gets to your fingertips kind of grow a little bit cold. And as you're looking at your skin, you feel like it's glowing, like you are seeing spots appear on your body. And there's are the colors always that bright? Have they always been that loud? Like that Aurora Borealis is just getting more vibrant and swelling, like you're seeing strange stars and constellations in it. And your friends look like wooden statues of themselves, and they're just staring at you with blank wooden eyes, and it's really weird.
I mean, he's got that annihilation thing. It's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, after does he tell us about what's happened?
Do you talk to these statues, or do you just let them stare at you with their mute blank eyes?
I think we can tell by the dilation of his eyes, if nothing else.
We should probably smoke and drink it, right?
Yes.
He'd probably just like, you remind me of my friends from back in the before time, from the long ago when we traveled the lands, and I always remembered how like your beard was the shortest of the group. And yeah, that's basically he just starts to go on about that, and then he moves on to the other wooden figure, which is clearly made of wood. I would sandpaper you until you were smooth as the person you were based off of. But you
Sir,
were not.
that's a rock. No.
Yeah. Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Yeah.
So with that, you're able to harvest as much of this as you want for your recreational purposes. And after a long journey, it is a perfect place to make your camp. You know that you still have a long journey to go before you get to your new home, where you can help rebuild your honor and reestablish the dwarven presence in these mines and these caverns, which are clearly have fallen taint to some other civilization and the goblins and the ogres and such. So perhaps maybe after another day's march or so, you'll find yourself in your new home. I guess the real question is, are you still going to light that garden on fire eventually when you leave? Or are you going to let it still be colorful? I guess that's the dangling action.
Now that we know that eating it rules, we'll probably
it's useful.
put around. Yeah,
Definitely. I'd say that dwarves are pragmatists above all things, and although we do make beautiful things as well. So yeah, we'll keep it. Tripping is a very pragmatic thing to do, I find.
I do think that as we bed down for the night, all of us with our dilated eyes looking at each other in wooden form, the last thought we should have is that at least one of us should say to the other, "We've come a long way, baby," so that we get the full closure.
Beautiful, beautiful,
and scene.
beautiful, and scene. Thank you so much, Mr. Pashke. If you would take us out of
Oh, I
game
already
mode.
have. That was
Okay, good. And back to
Yeah.
big talking head mode.
Yeah.
So tonight we have had a ball playing Axes and Anvils from Shields Up Publishing. From Who Shield?
Shield Up Publishing.
Yeah. I was trying to remember the fellow's name.
Oh, I'm so Andrew Shield.
Andrew Shield, thank you. And we had a great time. So if you like dwarves, if you like beards and beers and caves and cool stuff, then maybe think of picking this up. Links to it are in our show notes. They will be in all the social links for this. We have the drive-through RPG link there. The like basic rule set that we played tonight is available for free, and then there are expansions that you can buy on top of that, I believe, if I'm correct.
That's
right,
correct.
Ian?
Yes, and you
Okay.
can. But this is a great place. You can pick this up for free. This quick start, and to get you onto your dwarfy adventures. So there is more adventures and more content to expand this. This is a small sliver of fragment of content, and we actually got halfway through the adventure. So that's a good record for us.
Yeah.
That's
We made a
impressive.
lot of progress given our slightly smaller than average legs. So yeah, like that was a lot of fun. We've got fun stuff coming up. Next week is Lycoma, I believe, Ian.
Next week is Lycoma.
Right, which I am very much looking forward to. This is another indie game. It's from the meat punk genre, which is the genre that I feel I was born to enjoy. And until then, usually, John closes these things out by saying, stay safe and stay scared. I'd first like to thank Bog Wizard for our theme music, our intro and outro music. That's on Purple Miasmic Smoke, which is a fantastic album. It's, I think, still available on a tasty, tasty vinyl format you should check out. Bog Wizard, great band. Harlan's been on the show before, cool guy. You can find us online at womoncast.com. All of our stuff is there. Links to our socials, services we provide, reviews, blog posts, maybe one or two saucy photos of me. You never know. So go check that out. It also helps us tremendously if you like and or subscribe on whatever service you're enjoying this on, be it a pod catcher, a use of the tube, or the like. So until next week, this has been Wandering Monster, the amazing show where we blow through a game a week. So we're going to do 52 of them this year, I guess. Yeah.
It's gonna be
Are
good.
you excited or not excited?
I am so excited. I am just like daunted by the number 52. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it too. So I hope that you there at home will come along with us as we do. And until then, I have been Charles Bernard.
I've been Bridget Brave.
Ian Servas.
Mr. Peshke.
And go wander with your monster or something.
Absolutely. Thanks for everyone.
Bye.